Well, hello there. Happy Sunday. It's 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir, with Amy Nasir.
That's me.
And it is Sunday, May 17th, 2020, and we are, as always, but maybe especially this time, so glad that you are here with us.
Quite grateful. Thank
We
you
are
for
going to
being
need
here.
you so bad this week. It is Sunday, May 17th, 2020, the 138th, some of the real careful types would have caught me on that, 138th day of 2020, with 222 shopping days left until Christmas. So did you do what I told you to do last week? Go out and buy that first Christmas present if you haven't already. And if you haven't yet, make that happen. You will feel so in control of Christmas by having that first item already purchased. And you'll be able to look haughtily at those who haven't yet achieved that milestone. And we all know that's important.
Yes, and next time you can look forward to our next broadcast, and you can see what Robert has in store for his countdown of certain days, and see if you can't catch him in
another mistake.
In a mistake.
138, 130, but very close.
138, yes.
138th day of the year. So 167 days until Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And did you do the other thing that we recommended last week, which is always have your worst case scenario covered, your go-to Halloween costume, which for me is always a sombrero and poncho. I didn't do the poncho, but I hope you appreciate the hat.
Yeah, the sombrero is
for
pretty
as long
cool.
as it lasted there. Whoa, there goes the lighting rig. All right, now it's 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir.
Yes.
And today in history, on May 17th, on this day in 2004, one for the romantics out there, Tanya McCloskey and Marcia Kaddish got married.
Oh.
This was the first gay marriage in the United States, in the state of Massachusetts, back in 2004, when Massachusetts said, let's do this thing. It took until 2015 for the rest of the nation to catch up. And unfortunately, Tanya passed away in 2016, or today would have been their 16th wedding anniversary.
Oh.
Which may sound short, but remember, it was not legal before 2004 in Massachusetts. So they were together for 20 years before they got married. So that's 32 years. I call that a good run. So congratulations to them.
Yes.
Federally recognized in 2015. You know, we forget how recently
it's very
important and massive changes occurred. Things are getting better all the time, but it sure takes time.
Yes.
Today is also National Visit Your Relatives Day. Now, that holiday is appropriate for this day, this week, for the pandemic times, and also for this particular episode of the podcast, because of some of the challenges going on, we have relatively little prep this week. And that means we're going to be counting on you to help us out. So when folks start chiming in on the chat here, and I see a couple people are already online, we're going to be asking you for your content as well.
Yes, please.
So for example, the podcast of the week. Now normally I would share whatever podcasts I've been listening to, but this week I didn't take in too much in preparation for OCON. OCON was outstanding, but it hasn't been posted publicly yet.
Yes.
So I'll recommend OCON 2020 when it is posted. But until then, come to the chat and tell us, what's your favorite podcast right now? What are you listening to? Because I would love to share that with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, we have Mary Eileen on YouTube. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, come to YouTube. I know Facebook is where everything just pops up, and that's where everybody goes.
She mentioned that she likes her few remaining relatives.
Oh, well, that's very sweet.
Yes.
Relatives have an automatic end. They're almost like an automatic value.
Almost.
But they're even better than that, because the shared experiences that occur over time are actually a rational basis that other people are hard-pressed to catch up with. Kind of like last week when we talked about how people are hard-pressed to catch up with you romantically. Like anybody wants to try to steal Amy away from me. would have to catch up with, 20 years of schmoozing that her and I have done.
Yes.
So, as Amy and I were talking about this week, ways in which we are managing pandemic times.
Yes.
And
things falling around us.
And keeping a handle on who we really are.
Yes.
And what's really important. And because I'm a bit of a Facebook addict, that's a bit of a challenge because not everything that happens on the social networks is ideal for keeping you grounded.
Mm-hmm. It is absolutely not. And
but as I did recommend previously, I've found that gratitude posts are really good that way.
Yes.
It sounds silly, it sounds woo, but if you take a moment to say, yeah, what am I really grateful for? Or if it sounds less frou-frou, what do I like? What keeps me jazzed? What are the little things that make life so good? I had posted this morning, I'm grateful for graciousness, for grace under pressure, for people being at their best when things are at their worst. As the need for rationality and strength and patience and kindness becomes greater, people are stepping up to the plate. I see it with family, with friends, in shops and restaurants, and gas stations, in the bank, and even sometimes on the internet.
Yep.
Something worth mentioning, during extended times in close quarters, we're going to get ornery.
Oof. Yes.
And sad.
Yeah, we will.
And irritated, even angry. Tempers will be tried. Lock yourself in the same house with the same people for weeks or months, and there will be sparks. And not always the kind of sparks you want. When that happens, realize it's not about you. You're just the trigger, the straw, the release valve. Master the moment. Be bigger, better. That's what I'm seeing, both personally and publicly. Well, to the extent there is any publicly nowadays. People are being really, really good. I'm not surprised, but I am grateful. Many thanks. And love to you all.
That's very lovely. Somebody posted some fun things there.
Yes.
We have very good Facebook friends.
Do we?
We really do. And I'm very grateful for them. And I just, oftentimes a lot of folks on Facebook, they share their love with us by posting funny memes and, things that make us really laugh. And it's absolutely fantastic. So,
well, we certainly can't over-express our gratitude. Any is too much.
Yeah, so this morning I woke up thinking to myself, I need to make a list of all the things that make me me. What makes you you, Robert?
Yeah, what keeps you grounded?
What keeps you you? What keeps you
yeah.
Knowing thyself?
Well, the irony is that this podcast does. And it's funny because, again, we're running with a minimum of notes. Normally we have a much bigger stack of handwritten notes here. But it is the podcast and the other research and writing I'm doing that keeps me grounded. Folks who know me may know I retired last August from my IT career in order to pursue writing and podcasting and those things that some of us can only do once we've earned our living. It's something that pays well. And so the podcast and the writing do keep me grounded because the whole point of retiring early was to be who I am. Mm-hmm. I've often said that most of what I know about life I learned from rock and roll song lyrics. And one of the lines that pushed me to where I am is, I have lived only half of who I am. So Yaron Brook and Greg Salmieri talked about this over the last couple of days at OCON. Not just purpose, but finding your central purpose. Mm-hmm. What it is that will sustain you. Now the challenge is, and Greg mentioned this, some people, some of their greatest values are consumption values. They give them enormous pleasure and they're greatly satisfying, but they don't produce income. They're not, and it's not just about money. Money is just the form that it takes. It's about earning a living.
Mm-hmm.
So, writing, podcasting, that's a tall order to earn a living at those things. As a lot of friends and associates who are trying podcasting are learning.
Oh, and that's why Robert's my trophy husband.
That's
so.
right. But one of the reasons why, even though it was a really, really, really tough week this week, we decided to go forward with this evening's podcast is because A, we know you expect it. Mm-hmm. But B, some of you have paid for it. Oh my gosh. So when I thought
we
about
are here for you.
When I thought about our patrons, our Patreon, and the other contributions we've gotten through PayPal, and I thought, oh well, then we can't just not do a podcast because we're kind of down this week. Mm-hmm. And besides, there's nothing that gets me more up than talking to our folks,
yes,
our friends,
yes,
our family, our ex-lovers. Oh, did I say that out loud? Our people.
Well, people that we love.
In answer to your question, that's one of the things that keeps me grounded. Do you have something that comes to mind for you, Amy, that keeps you grounded?
Music. Yes.
Now, what do you listen to, though, when you want to get back to who you really are?
Usually 80s new wave music. And, anything that I can dance to. I have a playlist called Dancing in the Living Room. And it's all of my favorite songs for getting myself a little bit cheerful, putting a pep in my step and getting my brain kind of to move a little faster. And that's what music does for me. There are times when I'm sad or that I need to calm down. I just need to kind of ground myself if things are not as, pleasant as they could be. And that is the Delta Blues. Specifically Robert Johnson and others.
Yeah, the old stuff.
Yeah, the really old stuff.
The good stuff. Oh my gosh.
It's the best. Yeah. Oh, Cynthia is saying hello. Hello, Cynthia.
So, Cynthia, you may have missed it, but we don't have a podcast recommendation for this week because we did Ocon instead. But we are asking if any of our listeners have a podcast recommendation for everyone else. Feel free to share that on the chat.
Yes. Yeah, I often listen to true crime podcasts, but I probably shouldn't. It's fun.
Why shouldn't you?
Well, it's fun deductive reasoning,
right?
But sometimes it just, puts me in a universe that I don't necessarily want to live in.
I guess if you watch enough of that stuff, it starts feeling like everybody you meet could be a blackmailer or a murderer.
Oh no, or a serial killer. Oh no.
Yeah, the only television we're watching these days is Perry Mason, and there's certainly a lot of that. Somebody's murdered in just about every episode.
But Perry Mason saves the day.
He's a lawyer. It's a lawyer show. Why is people getting murdered every episode?
It's a joy to see Della Street, his confidential secretary.
Yes, his administrative assistant. Back before they even had that expression.
Because she's the best, actually. So, Mary Aline says she enjoys Cabaret sung by Liza Minnelli.
Wonderful.
And that always cheers her up.
We need to get more into Broadway, and because we have so many friends who are fans of musicals, and I talked about this and I posted about it, that there are a few musicals that we really enjoy, but we haven't really got the Broadway mindset, and we might be missing out on something with that. But there's so much good stuff.
Yes, we can always watch The Sound of Music, which isn't necessarily Broadway, but we can watch that for like the 25th time.
Yes. We've even done the, what did they call it? It was the Sound of Music sing-along in the movie theaters.
Well, it's the Sound of Music sing-along, I think.
Is that what they called it? I thought they had a name for it. But in any event,
they had like the words, some little bouncy
ball. You go to the music
ball.
theater and they have the lyrics and everybody sings along.
Yes.
You shouldn't really need the lyrics to sing along to The Sound of Music, but if you do, and certainly having them up on the screen gives you license, and that's the important thing.
Yes. Hello, Sylvia. Thanks for joining us.
Speaking of podcasts, Mary Eileen does recommend the New Ideal podcasts from the Ayn Rand Institute.
Yes.
Every Monday and Wednesday. Yes. And those are invariably good.
Mary Eileen says she's done that. I think she's talking about
Sound of Music
the
Live.
Sound of Music Live. Yes.
Excellent.
Hello, Linda. It's okay if you're late. Thanks for joining us.
So, Linda, we've already gone through several pages of prepared notes, and now we're in the winging it section of the podcast.
Winging it.
So we're taking folks' recommendations for podcasts and also for how you stay grounded.
I'm not entirely sure what it means to fly by the seat of your pants, but I don't know. Does that mean like
I'll
flying?
show you sometime. We're winging it.
Is it flying, through your butt?
I guess winging it means you're sitting out on the wing, so you're flying by the seat of your pants.
Oh, I see.
I have no idea.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe that comes from, the days of the wing walkers.
That's right. We should be hoofing it is what we should be doing.
Hoofing.
Yeah, it's like dancing.
We could be
We'd
hoofers.
better hoofers than flyers.
Hi, Annie. Thanks for joining us.
So as I mentioned when I was revisiting the preview podcast, because we talk about getting through COVID times.
COVID times.
You have relatively, and this was about life in general, you have relatively little control over the world getting better or worse. But you have enormous control over whether you and your life are getting better. Yeah, that was when the post-it note of the week was, what would I do? WWID, remember that?
WWID.
If you want to find yourself, like, where did I go? Or really more like, who the heck am I anymore? What would I do? WWID is a good reminder. And it's good for getting you out of a rut.
Right.
If I knew what to do right now, what would I be doing?
Mm-hmm.
What would the best version of me be doing in this circumstance?
Yes.
Keep working on you.
How to be your, a good friend to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, work on you, on your life, on your relationship, on your friends, on your family, on your coworkers, the things you can actually do and engage with.
Mm-hmm.
We can attend a protest about current events in politics, and we can go online and grouse about it. And you should do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But not much, really.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing that professionally, unless it's where you're really engaged. And if it's making you happy, if it's not making you miserable, but you feel like you need to be miserable right now. Which, again, sounds silly, but I seem to see a lot of that, so.
Mary Eileen, she's posting funny cats and boxes emojis on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Very cute.
It's been strange to revisit the earlier podcasts. And incidentally, if anybody is checking in with this podcast for the first time, like some of the folks we met at Ocon, for example, this is absolutely the wrong episode to check in on. Because the other 11 episodes so far of the podcast have been, tightly scripted and well-researched. And this one, not so much. But as I mentioned,
it's okay.
During the very first episode that we did, which was episode number 0, so many folks just want to talk about the bad news of the day. The news of the day.
Same old every day.
We are surrounded. We are surrounded by miracles. We live at a time in a place where nearly anyone can achieve enormous success. Even a Midwestern boy like me without a college degree can break through in the world of IT to a 6-figure position. Anybody can achieve enormous, that may not be what you want, financial success. But whatever you think of the government, we have the freedom to do that. It has never been possible for so many people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps without the need for the right family and connections and college degrees or even luck. Achieving wealth and success isn't easy, but it's possible.
It is.
For just about everybody.
Yes.
We live longer, and more importantly, we live our lives healthier, even now, than ever before. And we have the information and the resources to maximize our flourishing far beyond the already impressive statistical averages. We talked about that 10 weeks ago, how everybody is living better, everybody is living longer. There was that dip due to the deaths of despair. This is not Anna Green Gables, deaths of despair, but deaths of despair, and suicide rates and drug abuse and a minor downtick in life expectancy. Every other statistic is through the roof, and every indication is that once we get through this year, everything will continue to improve. We are better connected to information, to businesses, to trade opportunities, to family and other loved ones, to our potential friends and partners and mates than ever before.
Well, that's certainly cheering me up, Robert.
Well,
I have to admit that before we got on, I said to Robert, I'm in a terrible mood.
Well, that's part of the reason for the sombrero.
This is me in a terrible mood. Robert's trying to
You
push
saw
me
the
out of my
sombrero
funk.
earlier. That's powered by tequila. I'm not going to go into any details there, but
tequila sometimes is your friend.
Yes, the show is...
In moderate and tiny small
That's right.
amounts.
Well, I don't drink, but I could. I just am ridiculous enough without that. In any event,
Yeah.
yes, there's never been a better time to be alive, except maybe 4 months ago.
4 months ago was fantastic.
I might have to,
Oh my gosh.
moderate that note that says there's never been a better time to be alive.
4
4 months
months
ago was a
ago-
great time to be alive.
Oh my gosh, Robert.
5 months ago.
We had planned a trip to New Orleans, and this was supposed to be our makeup trip from the time in last July when Hurricane Barry came to town and we had to cancel, and then COVID came to town and we had to cancel. So at some point we will make it back to New Orleans. And but yeah, 4 months ago we were thinking about that. We were thinking about even maybe OCon and TOSCon and all these philosophy conferences, which were great. Would have been great. We'll be great next year. Next year's going to be...
Next year is going to be amazing.
It's going to be like
Incidentally,
magic. It's going to be, sparkles everywhere. You walk down the street and it's paved with gold.
I'm
and
just looking forward to firm handshakes and long hugs
long hugs. I like that.
with everybody, and strangers are going to be like, who the hell are you? Sorry, it's got to happen. Incidentally, when I mentioned that you can do politics and you can even engage seriously, I kind of went over that real quick because it's not so much my thing. But Cynthia did mention, you can attend a protest and talk to the press
Yes.
and feel uplifted too. There's a right way to do all of these things, and that's absolutely right. You can't get any more right than Linda and Quint Cordair.
Yes.
So, absolutely. Incidentally, speaking of Linda, she does mention when we asked about podcasts, parenting hacks and foodie delights, which we'll have to look into.
Yeah. As
Especially foodie delights.
Foodie
because
delights.
Amy talked last night about
I mentioned
with the Ocon,
I mentioned,
hanging
yeah.
out at the Ocon bar, which was an online bar this time.
It was the Zoom bar. And I mentioned to a few people that I had plans in store in the future for putting together philosophy and food. I was very much inspired by, Anthony Bourdain, of course, before he passed away and everything. But he, I watch him and he brings ideas and food together. Cultural ideas and food together. And some of those cultural ideas include philosophy and wisdom and that kind of reality basis for ideas. And I thought that would be a great idea. So so in the future, I think I will. I don't know what to call it yet. Please put into the comments what you think I might want to call it. But it's kind of food and
rational
philosophy.
food show. Food and philosophy.
Food and philosophy, that's the theme of it, and the concept of it.
That has been done. Jennifer Iannolo used to call her show that.
Yes. But it's basically going to be how to prepare food, the principles of preparing food and making food, and yeah, it's that's going to be in the future. So
Yeah.
stay tuned, keep watching.
Actually, the way that came up at Ocon was, they said, "Why is the show called 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir?" Yeah. And
So I'm here
Amy's
too.
answer was, because I've got my own show in mind.
I'm just here for support.
Well, I think it's more because I write the scripts. So.
Yes. I'm a catalyst. I throw him ideas.
You are such a catalyst. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and Mary Aline says, so you have to be knowledgeable to eat. Oh, yes, you do.
Well,
You have to know something
you
about.
gotta know something. You gotta know how to get to the local McDonald's drive-thru. You gotta know something.
You have to need to know how to drive a car first. No,
It is funny that in 2020 you don't gotta know much to eat.
right. But actually, I think more people are learning now that they are home. I guess that's a kind of
We
a
are closer to the bone.
a value of sorts in this day and age of being able to work in your kitchen more and experiment and come up with delicious food items that you may not have ever done before. So there's an opportunity for you in that. Oh, hello, Holly. Love you, Holly.
So we,
Bunnies for Amy.
one thing we skipped last week because we go 40 odd minutes. We missed the post-it note of the week.
Oh.
And I don't have last week's notes in front of me, so I don't.
Well, we were talking about masculinity and femininity.
So I was trying to figure out, why do I have a post-it note that says, "You sexy thing"? Did I mention? I don't think I mentioned that. But in any
that
event,
one's for Holly.
in any event, put that on your bathroom mirror and see if that doesn't change your attitude over the coming week.
Yeah, give you a little smile.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. And I had a second one, and I think this was for our more repressed. I mean, for our more
Reserved.
reserved. That's the word I should have used in the
yes.
first place. Reserved listeners, which simply says more. And this is a fun one to put up, because when I put this up, I do the things that I've talked about in past episodes where I catch myself thinking, I'm not even thinking, I just catch myself standing up straighter and opening my eyes a little bit wider.
When you see the word more?
When I see the word more, I find my chin is up a little bit higher, my shoulders are a little bit back, and my chest is out, and I'm just a little more who I am. So,
Yeah.
more.
More. How do you like it? How
Yeah.
do you like it?
How do you like it? More, more, more. That's good.
And
The
with a
Andrea
rebel yell.
True connection. Some of us remember the 70s. So you decide, or do them both, and put them on different mirrors or places in the house. And I'm kind of glad I found these, because for this week, since we're talking about grace under pressure and surviving COVID times, all I've got is this too shall pass. So I think you sexy thing is a better way to get through challenging times than this too shall pass. But you decide and put up what's going to work best for you.
Yes. Whatever makes you feel more sexy.
That's right. Holly says our men are so lucky.
And she
Holly
says
is so
we
right.
we are so sexy.
Oh
yes,
my
I
God,
agree.
Holly is so right.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yes. And Cynthia says she's saving her local restaurants. No guilt for takeout. That's absolutely right.
That's
I've
right.
actually stopped by our local diner and given them a tip without taking any food, just to
Yeah, you
just
did.
to extend my support. So,
You gave them $20 a $20
first
tip
time in,
for
yeah.
For just saying hello.
well,
Yeah.
it was early days, and I wasn't really eating
Yeah.
restaurant food at that time.
Right.
So, but you know, you want those places to be there,
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, I
You
actually
know, we haven't talked much about it, but challenging times are coming.
right.
I don't get much into politics and economics because there are smarter people out there than me talking about those things. But things are going to get worse before they get better. And I wouldn't even want to presume to predict because, for example, the stock market right now sitting at 23,000 makes no sense at all. It had dipped down to 18, and that's where it should be right now by all rational calculation, except, again, I'm the world's worst predictor, and I'm obviously very wrong about that. And given that I'm semi-retired,
Mm-hmm.
it's a damn good thing that it hasn't gone below 23,000 in a while.
Yes.
But if I had to guess, I would say, yeah, it'll be back down at 18 within a month or two, and probably below that. Don't worry, I'm always wrong. So, no worries.
Well, let me tell you a little bit of something. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Mike. Hey, miss you, Mike. Oh my goodness. Today is my 6th work anniversary in marketing at the Henry Ford Museum, and then I worked there, as a presenter for 1 year, and so that's 7 years total today. So I took a break. I went out in my car and I drove to my work. I drove to work today. And it was nice. It was comforting, and it's something, you might want to do. You might want to go drive to a familiar place. Just drive there and come back. Of course, maybe take some pictures while you're there, which I did. I took some pictures of the beautiful Greenfield Village with the historical homes, and I took some video, and I saw the beautiful blossomed trees, behind the wall. And I thought, oh, it's such a shame that we're closed because it's so beautiful. But I kind of, it's sort of like, for me in my mind, everything's kind of covered in saran wrap, being preserved nicely for when it does open again. And it's all still standing, and I was very relieved to see that. Nothing is amiss. Nothing has burned down. Everything is fine. So that was very comforting to go to my place of work today, and and just take some pictures and just be there for a little bit, even if I'm just driving by it. So
Seize the day.
Seize the day.
Seize the values.
And keep your values real to yourself. Remember that there is a light at the end of this tunnel, that we're going to get through this. This isn't Armageddon. Aliens are not taking over, or anything like that. Frogs and locusts and things like that, pillars of salt. No, that's not happening. We're going to get through this. This is a blip. If you look historically on the timeline of human history, this is a blip. And it's going to get back to normal and even better times from here. So let's all just keep that in mind. And let's keep a good sense of ourselves, who we are, what makes us us, and what makes our lives meaningful, and what reminds us of better times. I had gone on my computer, and I looked up a whole bunch of Paris photos. And one of the things that we do at work is I run a French language club at my job, which I'm still doing full time at home. And I loved going through all these Paris photos and then talking about them with my coworkers, and it just brought back so many wonderful memories. And I know I'm going to get back there. I know this is going to turn around. Sometimes I don't feel that way, like earlier today, but I'll get there. So I hope you do too.
So when Amy told me she wanted to talk about, what are the things we can do to get back on track and to reconnect with who we are and to reclaim our values, I thought of something I wrote in February. Some of the funnest things that I write are just me reacting to something ridiculous that somebody else wrote. So there was an article out on the internet called End Up Where You Need to Be, which had a list of 5 obvious signs the universe sends. Signs the universe sends you when you're on the wrong path.
Oh.
And it was all very woo. It was very silly.
Is it all mystical and pagan dancing and bonfires?
That's right. But in keeping with the project that I announced last week, which will be my book on reasonable explanations for well-loved hooey, I can't resist rewriting something like this, finding the kernel of truth or the nugget of value, or shoehorning what they did into something that's of value, and then doing my own version of it. So 5 obvious signs the universe sends when you're on the wrong path. and these are versions of that original essay, but made rational. 1, your actions move you away from your goals and values. 2, action seems fraught with danger and uncertainty. Inaction brings comfort. So I just won't do anything because that keeps me comfortable.
Yeah.
3, you avoid or abandon the best among your friends and family.
Oh, that's sad. Well.
4, entertainment, games, food, sex, and romance become distractions and an escape, not celebrations and inspirations. And number 5, something that happens that tells you that is the universe telling you you're moving in the wrong direction. You avoid looking in the mirror.
Oh.
So, 5 steps to get back on the right path.
Yeah.
I'll add a link to these in the show notes because I have found them useful. And I continue to find them useful. Lord knows I've still got more work to do. Number 1, losing your goals and values. Concretize your goals and values. To externalize them is to make them real, to make them objective. What have I said before? Write it down. No, not with a phone or a computer. Write them down on paper with a pen or pencil. Write. That visceral action.
Stick it on your wall
different.
Or your bathroom mirror.
Number 2, project your worst and your best case scenarios. Reach out to those who can help you achieve your goals. Be willing to be judged and taught and advised and coached and mentored and inspired. And always be ready to be loved.
That's sweet.
Number 4, choose optional values, or as Greg Salmieri prefers to call them, personal values, which are empowering, inspirational, energizing, elevating. Choose the good. I can't resist saying that because so many of us choose optional or personal values that are more blowing off steam. Sarcasm and snark and and negative humor and dank memes. And
I want to be validated in my stagnation and my inaction and my poor view of the universe and people.
And there may be a place for that, and I'm not telling anybody that they can't enjoy a good, clever meme. But I'll repeat number 4 because I can't resist it. Choose optional values which are empowering, inspirational, energizing, elevating. Choose the good.
Yes. We should watch Sound of Music, even though we've seen it 25 times. Again, just because it is that.
It's always the right. Well, we should watch Anne of Green Gables.
Yes,
1980s production, Kevin Sullivan.
Megan Follows.
Irresistible. And number 5, look in the mirror. Literally, go in the mirror and look. And see the amazing person you are. No one else holds your exact value hierarchy. Your tastes, your goals, your preferences, your style, your desires, your judgments, your specific wants and needs. No one else. In your values, even if not yet in your achievements, you are literally the best person in the world. Because no one else has your exact hierarchy of values. No one else is as you are.
Yes.
In that sense, you are literally the best person in the world.
Be gentle and kind with yourself.
You are your best you. Onwards and upwards, and I'm sure there's room for improvement for all of us. But you are your best you. And you have every right and reason to live your best life.
Holly's making me laugh. Thank you, Holly.
Holly says, I won't and you can't make me. Damn right. Because you have that right, too, at any given moment to say, nah, no.
Yep, and Cynthia says, plan to pursue a value you don't feel like pursuing right at the moment. believe in the future you.
Fantastic.
Yes, your future you will thank you for what you're doing, the present you is doing now.
That's right. Because when you try to change, people will put up resistance. But also when you try to change, you will put up resistance. And Cynthia's absolutely right. Make that plan anyway.
Yes.
A plan, just by virtue of being a plan, just by virtue of being on paper, or by virtue of being told to other people you care about, the plan itself can provide the breakthrough. But if not, there are many tips we can give you, and we will, in future episodes of 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir.
Yes.
In just that voice.
Yes. Well, guys, this has been such a kind of a chill, sort of relaxing podcast today.
Oh, doesn't get any more casual than this.
So, I mean, this is your chance to ask us anything. Like, anything. Like, how did you and Robert meet? Or, let's see here. Which language would you like to speak fluently? Or, is science or art more essential to humanity? Or... Are you mentally or physically tougher? I'm being silly.
Yep. Now our video froze up for a second, so
goodness.
folks might have lost some of that.
Uh-oh.
But
Yes.
that's okay, because
That's okay.
we're winding down here, and Amy's bringing out the table topics. Give us another one here.
It's the table topics. Let me draw one from the random pile here.
Although I've already
let's
given
see.
the Post-it note of the week. This will be something else to work with.
What was your favorite game to play as a child?
What was your favorite game to
That's
play
a
as
really
a child?
good question.
Well, we were very poor. My favorite game to play as a child was Is There Food?
My favorite game to play was Let's Hide Underneath the Basement Stair Cupboard.
Oh, that was actually a good game. That was our own personal version of hide and seek there.
And I would have a lamp in there, and it was just a magical place to read books and think and to write and to draw and do artwork. My name is not Harry Potter, but so I did this before he ever came around.
Yeah, that was a little different. Some of us played hide and seek from the cops. But I guess that was a little older than
That's
a
when
child.
you were probably a teenager.
Yeah.
Hide and seek from the cops.
Well,
I did that once, actually.
it was a tough one if you lost that game.
No, I never got caught, but I only did it once, so when I was about 15. Sneaking out in the middle of the night, If anybody has any stories about sneaking out in the middle of the night when they were teenagers, please share them. Because honestly, those are some fun times.
So we could sit and talk all night about all the trouble we got into when we were young.
Yes.
And maybe we should, but I think our 5 minutes are just about up.
Yep.
And Cynthia's a kick the can fan. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get better than the classics. But with that said, this show, this worthless episode, well, it's not
It's
worthless
not
because
worth it.
you guys are on and you're great.
Yes.
But this episode and the other 11 outstanding episodes that came before it, which are a much better representation of what this show is all about, are available at facebook.com/Robert Nasir and at youtube.com/Robert Nasir. And if you go to youtube.com/Robert Nasir and subscribe, you will own my heart, which you can come rip out and do with it as you will.
Actually, no, that's for me.
If you want to join the long and sometimes you hear things a few seconds after they happen.
Yes.
And if you want to join the long and growing list of Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Robert Nasir is where you can do that. You will earn our unending gratitude. If you prefer another method of contributing to the show, feel free to message me directly.
Yeah, you can
and
always
we will
get our...
provide the PayPal information as well.
You could ask Robert for our address or me for our address, and you can send us a care package.
You could do that.
Yes.
That is a thing that one
can do. The USPS is still operational for now.
So now that this challenging week is finally over, and we got through the Ocon weekend, which was great fun.
Yeah.
It really was good.
In our Zoom.
And Amy did hold a Zoom virtual tour of Greenfield Village.
Yes, I did.
Now that we've gotten through a really challenging week, how many times have I used that expression, challenging week today?
Challenging week.
Now that we've gotten through this...
It's the Hallmark card. challenging times. You know, the category of
They
Hallmark
actually have a category that
cards,
says challenging times.
something like that.
Or
yeah.
challenge. Oh,
Yeah.
they have one. No, that was challenging.
Like
Difficult relationship or
relationships.
something like that. Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's smart. Why wouldn't you have that? Unlike us, some people, fight and things. Give it to me. Anyway, with that said,
Yes.
we will be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. with another episode of 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir. That, like all of the episodes except for this one, will be well researched and tightly scripted. But until then, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Pratik. Hey, thank you, everybody. Cynthia, Holly, everybody. Golly geez, everybody. Linda.
That's right. We may not have been well
Mary
prepared
Lee.
for a fantastic episode, but we are well prepared to wish you success
Yeah,
and
Jennifer.
flourishing
Jennifer, yeah.
and love.